Good morning everyone, I hope you're all well today. Today's reading is going to be your most attractive trait in their eyes. You've got three choices as usual. You've got the, I want to say Caribbean Sea, and I think it's Caribbean Sea. You've got the Caribbean Sea, you've got Pantone 4, no it isn't, it's 5125 and 9044. So if you want to take your choice and then we'll get going. Okay, pile number one. I think I'm just going to give a sort of roundup of what they're seeing, what I think they're seeing, and then I'm going to try and pick out probably what I would say the strongest message or trait that's coming through here. I think that you're coming across as somebody who is very much a group person, or if you're not a group person, you seem at ease with yourself in everybody else's company, and I think that they think that you're at ease with them as well. There has a feeling here, I'm guessing, of a gentle nature. There's something quite youthful about you. There's something quite romantic and dreamlike about you. You have what I would say a sociable nature, but there's something hidden here. There's something quite childlike about you, but I've got a feeling that's on the surface. There's something very innocent. There's something, what I would say, quite talkative, quite easygoing, quite sweet-natured, very much inclusive with other people, very, I'm going to say laughing and joking and conversing very easily with others. What I'm trying to say here is what I can sense at the back of this, and I think this may be what is their most favourite trait about you, is something hidden. You've got the Chariot and you've got Justice here. To me, they may make me think of somebody who's quite confident and quite group orientated, quite easygoing, very easily can see the other side of other people. The Knight of Wands here as well, again, makes me think confidence, somebody who can stand in a group, hold their own. You know, there's that feeling of, with these two cards, are very easygoing, waiting for the conversation to finish before you put in your bit. And when you do put in your bit, you say it with a flair. There's like something quite amusing about you. There's something very much, you draw people towards you is what I'm trying to say. But here with the Dreamcatcher and these two pages, there's an innocence and a sweetness about you too. But these bits are the bits that caught my eye. You've got the Devil and you've got the Eight of Swords. There's something going on between you two that's hidden, and there's a slight power play amongst two very sociable people who like to look like they're sociable. You like to look as if everything's easy breezy, but underneath you there's something going on, you both know it. And this is the favourite part of you, I think. Because at the back of the pile, these three cards I pulled out here, you had the Nine of Wands, which makes me think of slightly defensive, almost hiding behind these twigs or whatever they are, peeking out and waiting for some clarity, waiting for the sun to rise. And then you've got what I would say a very sunny disposition here, and a very, I'm going to say forceful, it's not forceful, it's confident air about you, and almost like a childlike, dreamlike feeling about you too. So I'm thinking, what I get an impression of somebody coming into the room, let's just say your person's in the room, you come into the room and you're joking and chatting with other people, and it's almost like at the corner of your eyes you're both looking at each other and they can see that you're confident, and it's not a face you're putting on, that is you. But when it comes to relationships, I'm getting this sort of like little clicky feeling, as in that's like clicking on me, of anxiety of how you're going to be accepted, and they actually quite like that because it makes them it makes you have an air of vulnerability about you, which nobody wants that, do they? But that's what they like. And I don't know whether there's Scorpio between the pair of you or a Pluto contact, but this is what this slight bit down here is making me think of, that it's almost like when we have like Pluto contacts that are like the hooks between each other that basically connect, and then that's what, can I say, brings you down. It may very much be brings you down, but it's more a case of click in, learn your lessons. If this person can sense that you are wondering how you're going to be accepted by them, it's not in a bad way. We all do it. We don't even know we do it. It's almost like, this is my path in. I know he or she likes me. You know, that's how we can connect. Rather than somebody that comes in and is just totally not looking out for how they're going to be perceived by him or her. Because there's no space in that person's life for this person, because they want to know. So this is how I reckon you click in. There's an air of you wanting to know more about them, you wanting to put on a good impression, and they can sense that you are interested in them, I'm thinking, which you may not want to know that either, but you're interested in them. It's difficult to explain. It's like a rumbling, unspoken interest, because you've got the Four of Cups down here, which makes me think that you're not really letting on that much. It's almost a case of that you come across as being very friendly with them, you're very open, very innocent, very confident, as I've just said, but down here there's a feeling of you're not letting on your truest feelings of attraction. And the Devil here is almost like hiding it. You feel a bond there, they feel a bond there, and there's a bit of anxiety going on here. And there's something about this, sounds awful, I know, but there's something about that they like. And I don't know whether it's, I used to have, that's about a silly thing to say, but my husband's father was Scorpio Pisces, and I never knew where it came from. I think it was just the water. It was the ability to connect. It was the ability to think there's more going on below the surface. But he loved people with an air of vulnerability about them. He was the only person in my life that I've met that said he liked shyness. And I used to love him for that, because when I was young, I was painfully shy. Now I'm just shy. But this is like a feeling of somebody that likes shyness, but you don't come across as shy, but they can sense that there's almost like you've overcome it. And I've said this sort of, it wasn't a quote, of the man who played Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, who said that he liked, it sounds wrong in today's age, if you know what I mean, he likes children who have strength but a vulnerability about them, but they still continue on their path. This is what your person's favourite trait is about you. That is how very clearly, but that's what I'm thinking here. It's like air and fire with water underneath, and it's the watery bits that they find attractive about you. It's your vulnerability, it's your ability to read behind social situations, it's your softness, it's your air of innocence, it's your childlike romantic qualities that they find very intriguing, I think is the word here with these cards. And there's almost like a puzzle that they want to get into, because the Four of Cups is that you're not really letting on, you're sort of looking disinterested. God, excuse me. But that's pulling them in even further. I think this gives me a feeling that you have like your barriers up a little bit here. You're still coming across extremely attractive and confident, but everybody else is picking that up, and this person has a feeling of wanting to know more about you. They want to know what's really going on below the surface, and so they're intrigued. And it's difficult to explain. I have to start thinking of people and situations I know, like in this situation. It's like the type of person that waits for you to, this sounds awful, but trip up in some way, almost stumble in some way, so that they feel as if they can help you out. It may be you may have fallen for somebody, especially you coming across here as a Knight of Wands, as somebody that likes to give, somebody that likes to help people, somebody who sees their job very much as being very caring. Not their job as in they might not get employed for it, but this person may like to be almost like a protective quality, and you're not coming across as needing protecting, and And they're just picking up these slight nuances in your personality that make them feel hopeful in that way. It doesn't sound as bad as like somebody wants to play I'm the alpha male or alpha female. It's more a case of wanting to connect on an emotional level and not seeing that in your normal day-to-day get-togethers with others or the bits they've heard about you, but then spotting, and it could be just the way that you look at them. It could be the way that you look away when you're talking every now and then, because it can be a little bit overpowering when you're attracted to somebody, and that's the bit that they like. It's your vulnerability. Because you've got 2 pages down here as well. Which, they're childlike. The Page of Pentacles is very steady, very much, does everything it needs to do. It shows up in the right situations and it acts correctly. The Page of Swords, once again, has what I would say more dreamlike. Not dreamlike is wrong, because that's what the Cups. It's an innocence, I'm thinking, in the way that you speak. I wonder whether you're very direct, very sort of short in your speech, but has an air of openness, as in you're saying what you're thinking. It's giving me a feeling your person may be like a fire and water, and they admire your fire because that's the way you're coming across, that they can associate with it. So you may be coming across as very air and fire. You don't have to be that combination, but the air and fire makes me think that you communicate well, that you're confident, that you put yourself out there. You may be the first person to introduce yourself, and you include people in conversations, and you're just one of those people that go through life with, I'm going to say a smile on your face, but there's something else here. And I think it's more of a love nature that likes a close bond and an intense bond, and they like that about you. There's something about what I would guess a slight climbing up with regards to relationships, that they see there's something else, there's something different that does intrigue them. Because these 2 cards here, this is the bit that I think really got them. And these 2 cards here are disinterest and what I would say a bit of anxiety. This person likes vulnerability, I think. And the Devil card, again, is those hooks that we have, those plutonic hooks that we have inside ourselves that connect, and they're not ideal for anybody, but they make fantastic love stories. And they can be difficult at times for us all. It doesn't matter what side of the relationship, but it's those bits that actually pull. And that's every love story you've ever heard, every wailing, crying soul song you've ever heard is can often be, not everyone, but platonic. Because it pulls those bits outside of ourselves that give us emotion, inside ourselves, sorry, that do give us emotion. Right, let's put some more on this. Okay, I wonder whether when you first met this person, whether you were standing on your own or in a situation where you were engrossed in whatever you were doing, not really including other people, and they were pulled in, or wondering whether they should talk to you, possibly, whether they should help you in some way, because there's a feeling of your person wanting to help here. There's something about you, there's a reserved quality about you that this person likes. And oftentimes we all think we need to be extroverted, but in this case I'm thinking there's a reserved quality about you, and I wonder whether when they first saw you, whether you were actually being reserved, whether you were a bit controlled, whether you're standing on your own is what I'm thinking here. There's a sweetness and there's an innocence about you, and you're coming across here as the Mum of Stencils, Queen of Stencils here, and you've got Lady Di here, somebody who needs to show up looking as if they're in control, but deep down there's a bit of fire behind Lady Di, wasn't there? There was. This is a person who had to behave in a certain way, but behind her was that Sagittarius bit that was wild and wanted to say what she wanted to say and act like she wanted. Sagittarius, the most lovely thing to a Sagittarius is somebody who is who they are. Then you've got the Hermit here, which makes me think that either you were on your own when they first saw you, or you were quite reserved or quite controlled, or looked like you. The Hangman here, it has what I would say a spiritual air of somebody who looked like they were thinking about something else or aware of something else. So I don't know what image I'm getting here. It's somebody who is controlled, sweet, reserved on initial contact possibly, and then they've heard something about you being very sociable, being very easygoing, lots of people like your company, you're quite confident, and they thought, well, that doesn't really match up, and they're almost trying to get back this image of who you were initially, because that may be what attracted them to you. Let me try some more. Yeah, the thing they like the most about you has got something to do with a detached approach. There's that... I'll give you an example because I can't really put this into... I will put it into words, but it's easier for me to give an example. When I was in my... when I was a young lady, when I was young, I worked for... in Toronto, in an island on, you get on a ferry and go to an island in Toronto in an amusement park, and I was really quite young, and there was lots of people there. Everybody's very normal, nobody really stuck out, and there was a girl there. She must have been about 19, and she was really reserved, but in a way that totally intrigued me. It's not helping. Everybody else was very friendly, very forward, and she was very sweet-natured and kept herself very much for herself. When she had a dinner, this makes me sound really creepy. And when she had a dinner, everybody was there in groups, and she'd go off and she'd sit on a bench with the ducks, and she'd just sit there eating a little sandwiches or whatever with the ducks. Now, you've got the Star here, you've got the Eight of Cups and the Ace of Cups. To me, without doubt, your most attractive trait, and I'm thinking this is the trait that you probably don't like about yourself, is your ability to be beautifully reserved, to have a self-contained quality about you, to have a dreamlike quality about you. It's like innocence in a detached way. The Star there, the Ace of Cups and the Eight of Cups. You don't feel like you need to fit in all the time. And they find that beautiful about you. There's no other way I can say this. You've got the Queen of Stencils, which to me is that Virgo-y feeling of being very controlled, very sweet, putting others first. You've got the Hermit and the Hangman and the Star down here, which are very sort of spiritual, very sort of take me as I am, because I'm quite contained in myself. And whatever you say, whatever you ask me to do, is going to make no difference to me anyway, because I know who I am. And you've got the Eight of Cups here, once again detachment, the ability to walk away, and the Ace of Cups is going very much with this Page of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Page of Swords here, of very sweet, very innocent. This makes me want to cry. I'm thinking of that, a beautiful girl with the ducks. I actually got a picture of these ducks. She used to sit down, I used to watch her, and I wondered, and I was only young, so I don't know what on earth I was doing. I must have been so creepy to people. And I used to sit there and wonder, why she felt like she didn't need to fit in when she was such a beautiful person. I can't explain it. It's like, do you know who you are type of feeling and how you come across. And she must have been, I'm guessing here with the Star here and the Hermit and the Hangman, and this is you. You must be very similar, just very sort of introverted, extrovert. Extroverted when you need to be, and you play that role really well, but inside yourself you may be very creative. You may be somebody who likes to spend a lot of time on your own. You may have a very, very strong internal dream life. It makes me think of an artist. It makes me think of somebody who can sit for hours and bring something beautiful out of themselves. It's not somebody who needs external stimulus all the time. there's also, yeah, it's that sweetness and it's that gentleness and innocence that is pulling this person. It's not these qualities, those extroverted qualities, which I always think, because I'm not particularly extroverted, although I quite like extrovert situations. I'm quite quiet in myself, but you often think you need to pull this out, you need to be this, you need to be that, and often in case you don't. This is in somebody that may have lots of water in them and is really attracted to these softer parts of yourself that flow rather than these ones that push outwards. This is somebody that wants to swim, probably full stop wants to swim. Somebody that wants to know more about you, wants to know more about the real you rather than the face that we sometimes put on in social situations. This person would want to sit at home and talk to you and find out more about you rather than go out clubbing and rolling around on the floor. Maybe rolling on the floor, but more. So to me, if you are quite introverted, it's still, you've still got to, everybody's got to give out, because there's no point now. How can anybody see your beauty when it's inside the house all the time? It's still a case of going out, being sociable, but it's almost like do that with, be yourself, own yourself with your own inner confidence, and everything that's quite soft and smooth about you is what is actually beautiful about you. That's what they are thinking. And the devil there gives a nice sort of tinge to a love story. The devil card can occasionally, being that we're all here brought down to earth to be, and I'm guessing in my mind, to enjoy ourselves, it's that bond that pulls. And that's the bit that, you sometimes need to get things started, as long as you take it all with a pinch of salt with the devil. Here with your Ace of Cups that you can walk away from situations. But this person, I think, feels that you're attracted to them and they like that feeling. It's not a case of, like, even with the devil card here, it's not a case of one up, he or she likes me, I'm going to use it. Not at all. This person enjoys what I would say your more gentle, watery pull. Sweet, really sweet pile here. Right, I'm going to finish there. So to sum that up, your most attractive trait in their eyes is you just being yourself. This isn't somebody that's intrigued by what you do for a job. They're not intrigued by what car you've got, or how big your house is. They're not after your money. They're not after going out with you for social situations. This person is interested in you just as you are and what makes you tick. I think your person may be quite, there's a feeling of fire here, but there's a lot of what I'm guessing watery emotions here. A romantic pile, this one. A romantic, sweet, introverted, extrovert pile. And it's the introverted bits that they're interested in. Okay, right, I'm going to stop there, pile number 1. I hope that helps in some way. Yeah, I'd be interested to know what you think of this one. Whether you've had any inklings of your person looking at you, especially with this Hermit and the Hangman and the Star, where you've actually been lost in thought, or you've been daydreaming, or you've been sat on your own. It's that type of when they've actually looked at you and it's gone, that's it. It's when you're actually in your most internal moments that they've actually thought, wow. Okay, right, I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much for spending time with me. Bye. Okay, pile number 2. I'm going to start regretting actually speaking now because I haven't looked at them properly. But I would just talk off my hip here. You've got the High Priestess, you've got the Magician, you've got the King of Swords. The King of Swords here has what I would say, somebody commented the other week about me saying he's reared up on his back legs. I'm so sorry. He's actually reared up on his back legs, but there's lots of people looking at him. The Magician, the High Priestess twice You are absolutely mesmerizing to this person. With this snake on its back legs and these very spiritual, very much in control of themselves. And the magician may not be, but the high priestess is extremely feminine. It's like, I don't know. I once read an article years and years ago about something to do with numerology. I don't remember it because it didn't actually, I was so intrigued by it but didn't understand it. It was certain people that had certain numbers. I think it was by Gurdjieff. I think it was Gurdjieff. That had certain numbers. I don't even know what I'm talking about here. But they were absolutely mesmerising. It was something to do with numerology, which is obviously to do with vibrations, which is obviously to do with some energy that they emit, or basically probably pull towards them. That is absolutely mesmerising, and mesmerising is the word of this pile. You have a very big impact on this person. You've got the magician, the high priestess, twice, major arcana, and the fool and the devil. There's something about you that's totally different and unique about you. They haven't seen anybody like you. They haven't felt like they do when they're with you many times before in their life. You can't explain this energy, which is my excuse to get out of all of this. You can't explain this energy. There's just some people that you stand with and you can't take their eyes off them. The Fool card here, that Uranus card, is just somebody that's different. Somebody that comes into their life normally during a Uranus transit if they're not very Aquarius themselves. And this person shakes you because they bring in different energies that you're not really that used to and that you need to integrate into your personality. This is them. You've come into their life and it's definitely a thing that you've come to not teach them in any way, but you've come to almost give them an alternative to the way that they're living, what they find beautiful. You may be very different from this person's their childhood, what they were brought up with, who they spent their time with, their cousins, their mum, their dad. You may just be very different. I don't know whether it's culture or energy. I don't know. The Devil card here, once again, adds to this mesmerising feeling of them being totally intrigued by the way that you speak, the clothes that you wear, who you talk to. And I've said before in different readings, sometimes if I hear a foreign accent, I'm like, who's that? Because to me, a foreign accent speaks of something I don't know. It's like a culture that I don't know anything about. You know, where do they live? Where do they go to school? There was once, I'm going to sidetrack now. There was, every year, Bologna have a children's illustration festival. And I'd always look at it because I love the drawings and the illustrations and the pictures or whatever they are. And one year they had Iran and Iraq presenting, and they were the main people to be showcasing, I suppose. And it was so interesting. Their artwork was so different from what we've been brought up with, what we're used to, probably in the UK and USA as well. It was just from a totally different perspective, and I was intrigued and I couldn't get enough of it. This is what your person is like when you walk into the room. It's like, what is that? What is that? I want more of that. It's a feeling of being very different, very unique, and having a very intense draw. I don't know what type of person you are. I'm thinking that you're somebody that doesn't take a lot of crap from people and has a very strong inner compass. I don't know if compass is the right word, but that's what I'm thinking. The High Priestess and the Magician has a very spiritual quality about them. And as you can see with this Magician card, this panther pumery thing is emitting X-ray vision out of its eyes here. So there's something to do with the way that you see the world and how they want to see the world. They're very much on the precipice of wanting a change, wanting things to change for them. It's almost like they've got bored with their own world. They don't even know this. They're bored with their partners. They're bored with whoever they've had before. They probably haven't admitted this themselves, but something in their whatever higher self does, and it's like, let's bring this person in, let's give them a change. You've got the Fool here and the Magician card here. These cards here, I'm wondering whether you make them feel anxious because you're different. There's a feeling here of anxiety on their part. There's a feeling of a draw that they can't get away from. It is you are the snake charmer. You are the snake charmer with a snake on its legs. And it feels like they may be slightly nervous when you're around, or they may not know what to say because you're not in their usual, I can't think of this in a very eloquent way, collection of dialogue. You know, the words that they normally come out with when they're with people that they know, the banter that they make, the conversation that they make. It's like, I've got to find something different to say with this person. You know, when you see like celebrities being interviewed and some of them are really cringy. Who was I watching? I can't say this man's name. Joaquin, something like that, Phoenix. And I was watching an interview with him and he's so rude. He was cringy rude. Somebody asked him about he was on stage, was asking about his role in Joker, and it was the same question that they obviously always ask. It was, you know, how did you prepare for it, that sort of way, you know, did you find it mentally hard to prepare for it? And he stood there on stage, Jesus Christ, it was awful. He just said, have you got anything better than that? Your person feels edgy when you're around because they're afraid that you're going to say, haven't you got anything better than that? You don't say it. There's not an air of rudeness. There's an air of too much feminine powers. You sound like Ninja Turtles then, didn't you? Coming from you to actually be rude. It's not those sort of masculine qualities where people basically say what they're thinking before they've thought about it. Imagine that. It's just a feeling of you make this person feel nervous because you're very much in your own power, your own feminine power. There's something going on in you that is different, that makes your person feel like they need to change quickly to catch up. Intriguing pile. Right, let me just put a few more cards on this one. Okay, do you know this is really weird because you're coming across here as being, the first thing that they noticed about you was you came across as very controlled and almost like a conventional air about you. And then it's just stopped. You've got the King of Pentacles, you've got the Hierophant, you've got the Ten of Swords, and this is for basically their first impression is somebody who comes across as being just like everybody else, very much business-minded. Very much a very business-like approach, very, you know, hello, how are you, that type of thing. And then they've smelt something else underneath the surface later on. I don't know whether they found out from friends or whether it's a second meeting or whether the conversation has continued and they've seen something else, and it's that something else that has, this to me feels like they accepted you on first impressions and took that as well, that's who you are. And the Ten of Swords, it totally ended, and then they came into what I would say this feeling here of having more going on, and it's been quite a shocker to them. This is probably, I'm guessing, how they are, and they've attached to you thinking, well, yeah, you're like me, that's really nice, you know, let's see where we can go with this. Yeah, this Hierophant, da-di-da-di-da, on the way to the shops, you know, those type of people. You know, those type of people that go shopping. But you know, when we just basically all function without stopping and thinking. We go to work, we go to the supermarket, we come home, and that's it. And we all do it. We all do it. And every now and then somebody comes into your life and it's the most fantastic feeling of shaking you awake. And it is normally like a Uranus transit, and it's somebody you didn't expect. You may be sitting there writing little notes, this is who I'd like to come into my life, and it will be somebody the complete opposite. You know, you can't tell with Uranus transits. And I've said in other readings before, I had a friend who had a Uranus transit on his MC, and we were all going, oh, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. And he won loads of money off the back of a margarine tub. So you don't know with Uranus. It just is something that's different, and it wakes you up. This person's met you and thought, okay, fine, lovely. You know, it could even be an introduction in a work situation where you've said hello and they probably thought, attractive, got on with it. And then it's not until they got a little bit deeper into your personality that they can see something in you that's very different, and then that's where the connection starts pulling extremely strong. And I'm guessing this was easy for them first contact, and afterwards there's been more anxiety, probably more difficulty in conversations as the relationship's continued, I'm guessing, because this person's almost pushed back onto, how do I deal with this? This isn't in my usual realm of activity. Somebody help me. But that's what has caused the attraction. The fact that you are different. There's something about you that it makes me think of somebody that's very businesslike, and you have a very sort of rich inner spiritual world, and they can sense that. They don't understand it, but they're intrigued by it. And it's like a creativity that's underneath your surface. And although you may come across as being very much, what I'm thinking, there's some people that come across as being very unconventional on the outside, and inside they're quite conventional, like everything to be just, you know, like mum and dad, or, you know, everything that's just been so in the past. And there's people who have a very conventional exterior that fit in visually into a place. They don't look different, but when you get to know them, there's like, wow, what's going on in there? This is a case of your wow, what's going on in there? Okay, let's keep going. Do you know what it is? It definitely has got to do with something, the way that you function in everyday world, with a sense of calmness, but with a sense of spirituality. And I know you're looking like, you probably come to these readings for he likes my butt, but it's not that. It's something else. It's something much deeper. You come across as fitting into what he would say his or her normal expectations of what people should look like, that he or she is attracted to, but there's just something really going on below the surface that he or she doesn't understand and is very much pulled to. It's like you are there to bring this person to a different place. It wouldn't surprise me physically whether you wear the same clothes as everybody else in your area, because we have like different clothes down here. We have, you go to London, everybody's clothes are more formal, I think. There's a lot more leather, there's a lot more dark colours. You come down south and everything's more flowy. There's more pattern, more, I don't know, everything moves easier on bodies, different materials. And I wonder whether the clothes that you wear are very much in keeping with where you live, where you are, which sounds ridiculous, I know. So they've sort of accepted you as they saw you initially and thought, attractive person. And then it's as they've got to know you, you're very different. And then that's when the anxiety set in. This could possibly be a work situation, I don't know. There's a lot of pentacle cards here, and that feeling of fitting in initially, but there's more behind you that's attracted them. I wonder whether you've said with the Fool and the Magician here, I wonder whether you're very good at putting different scenarios, different situations into conversations, or saying things that are coming from a different perspective that they possibly admire, that they hadn't thought about. Something you say has caught their attention because it's come from this person. May be very interested in people's minds. This person could like have a Gemini Venus or something that likes the way that people think, and something's come out of your mouth and they've thought, I never would have thought of that. I mean, my sister upstairs got Gemini Venus. She can fall in love with somebody because of their mind. And I used to have a friend in college, Gemini Venus, and she had a crush, really attractive girl in her 20s, on Clive James because he was quick. And I wonder whether this person has that type of energy, whether they are very attracted to people who have a really good mind, who think well, who think, you know, when I say think well, as in they make life work for themselves with regards to being in control of their thought processes. And this has what I'm guessing almost like a mesmerizing spiritual feel, because you seem to have got yourself sussed. And it can, you know, oftentimes, you know, we talk about mesmerizing spiritual feels and like, what on earth is that? We just don't understand, or we don't think about how things work, I think. And so it seems like magic, but really it's just not magic. It's just the fact that we just don't stop and think and ask ourselves. And so you are looking like magic to this person because there's just something is totally out of their normal everyday existence, and you are magic. And that magical draw is the pull that they weren't expecting. It's really funny, the first two piles, pile number 1 and pile number 2, have come back down to what I would say those softer qualities inside people that have attracted the other person. Because you've come across quite businesslike to begin with, and then unusual, different, mesmerising as it's gone on in a very sort of receptive way. So to sum that up, your most attractive trait in their eyes, or trait in their eyes, is they find you absolutely mesmerising because you are unique. To them, you are unique, and they didn't expect it. They were expecting you to be totally different, to fit in and to just be attractive and then be attracted to you, but there's more to it. And in delving that bit deeper into your personality, getting to know you that little bit more, they've actually become, I would say, maybe a little bit more reserved with you. Because I think it's things that they admire in people that they didn't even know themselves. You've just woken them up to what I would say a different crush level. It's like when you fall for somebody and they're not your usual type, and it's like that is now your new usual type. Right, I'm going to finish there, pile number 2. I hope that helps in some way. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye. Wow, pile number 3. I have no idea how to interpret this. To be totally honest, this is really hard. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, and then, unlike pile number 1 and 2, it was quite easy, I think, to get it straight away. I'm going to have to sift through this, which I wasn't expecting, because you have got, hold on. Okay, I've shifted the cards around. It may not help whatsoever, but it may just. This is what I'm thinking, and this may change as I carry on talking. To me, it feels initially like a very strong emotional connection, like you have met, and it's been with the moon here twice. There's been a real sort of what I would say moon synastry, is that connection that feels easy. And I got this, a first word I thought of actually, this is so exciting. The first word I thought of when I pulled this pile out was icy contact. That's not a word, that's a few words. And I was thinking, Linda McCartney, Paul McCartney. And then I've just started talking about the moon here. There's something to do with their first impression of you, and what they found attractive was the fact that you felt like home. You felt like this person's, a good memory of somebody that they spoke to at home, or that they spent time with at home, maybe a brother or sister, I don't know. There's just that feeling, familiarity, and it's feeling like, it's like a punch in the gut familiarity. Where you feel as if you could just say anything to each other and it would be accepted. You could talk. This is stupid. That moon has got a face on. It's got 2 eyes and a mouth and a moustache. Is that me? But there's just a feeling that you can talk about anything and you just connect. There must be some hobbies or something that you've got in common that is really easy. You got together and it was like, wow, that was really easy. It's not that jarring conversation. Then you've got the Hierophant here, which I normally interpret, especially with this Four of Pentacles, which gives me a Capricorn feeling. And what I'm thinking here, the Two of Swords here with the candles in the eyes, I would normally start talking about restrictions and constrictions and something ictions to do with what I would see Capricorn as being very controlled. But to me, it's something different with the moon cards here and the key cards here. There's something about you being, and that's why I put this in the middle, being in the middle of this, what I would say a really strong inner connection. And then you've got the Tower and the Sun. And these cards are very boomph. They're very, what I would say, outgoing energy, and a very strong outgoing energy. One positive and one a shocker. Okay. Your most attractive trait in their eye, let me start thinking, let me actually think, has got something to do with an inner connection that you don't get very often, where you just talk very easily. And you've got 2 twos here, is making me think of what I would say quite a playful air of back and forth and communicating well, and it just sparking off. It's sparking off. And then the Two of Wands makes me think of the beginning of something that you are waiting to see what's coming back, and it's exciting. And this has got to be a bridge. There's no other way I can think of the Hierophant with the keys there and these very different energies. There's something to do with you probably connecting something inside themselves that may be quite, I don't know who it is yet. You've got to help me with this one because I'm feeding my way through. That could be quite shocking because these are very masculine energies, I'm thinking in my head. And then this is very sort of sentimental and sensitive energy here. And you're the bridge between those. So it very much could be that. It could very much be that you. Okay. Let's just say your person's very masculine. And they go around their everyday world being very masculine. And I mean that male or female. They could they just basically put out in the world. To me, masculine energy is that energy that comes in the door, you know that it's there. That feminine energy slithers in and sits down and it sucks you towards them. And if your person is very masculine, very much, you don't know what job they do, whether they're just like, if it's a man's man, a woman, she just likes hanging around with men. Please interpret that the best you possibly can, because I don't mean to cause insult here. I just think off the top of my head of past experiences. Your person pushes out in the world. They could be quite recognising their field in some way. They could be very much that person that comes into the room and introduces themselves, shakes your hand first. Or that person that reaches out to help when you need help. That person that's there for everybody else, but then withdraws straight away once they finish the job. Yeah. This one here, the moon, is got something to do with, I'm guessing here, their internal world that they're not very much in contact with. That sounds stupid. They're not aware of, or they don't express it very well. And you've come in and you're that bridge. It's like having somebody who kicks off your moon and your Venus. I'm not so sure how this works in men and women, but I'm saying in a man's chart. I'm assuming it's the same whether you're a woman, but you're a mom. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Well, either way, it's basically you've kicked off the more feminine parts in their chart that they've not been aware. And that's that bridge between what they were basically shuffling along in their normal life and thinking, wow, who is that? That's somebody I connect with really well. They're softening me. And this is somebody who I think is a worker, because you've got the Four of Pentacles up here, you've got the Hierophant here, and the Two of Swords. It's almost as if you have given this person a different perspective. What I'm guessing was an initial playful conversation, very easy conversation where you're both batting back ideas possibly. I'm thinking flirty, but not, because it feels more serious than that. It feels softer. It feels like it was very much hit home, this conversation, or your first contact hit them in the stomach rather than being like chirpy. Because there's an emotional reaction to it. And I'm wondering, with the Tower and the Sun here, whether this person wasn't expecting this connection. And it wouldn't surprise me whether they've actually become a little bit reserved as well afterwards. So your most attractive trait, as far as I can pick from this so far, and it's been a shocker to them, is that you have given them a punch in the gut with regards to how you connect emotionally with them that they weren't expecting. This person may not be very open to emotional connections. It does make me think, doesn't matter male or female, whether it's a very masculine person. And they don't normally connect emotionally with people, and it's like, wow. This person could be too busy in work. It feels that there is a case of juggling. It could be just juggling everyday activities, just getting on with things and trying to keep their head above water. And then there's been a contact here which has had an emotional reaction that they weren't expecting. And it's almost as if they need it. A bit like pile number 2, it's much needed because they've been ignoring the softer side of themselves. Put some extra cards on here. Do you know what I think? They thought that you were very much like them on first contact. They thought that you were very, well, I'm guessing quite straight-laced, very much in control of yourself. A bit like pile number 2 again, of it could be a business connection, or it could be something that's very formal. Your first introduction could have been very formal, and then they've thought, yeah, conversation's going well, and then they've got a little bit deeper than they expected, and it's been, it's like that icy contact of reverting back to childhood. And then bringing out, making them feel vulnerable, I think. This person's walked away from you thinking, oh gosh, have I revealed too much? It feels like a conversation that may have flowed a little bit too easily, and they've actually stopped and thought, I've just told that person everything. I've told them where I bought my pants, that type of conversation. And You've come out of this, I reckon, thinking, that's quite normal. I like that person. They're like, oh my God, I've just revealed too much of myself. Because the Hierophant there can be controlling. And when with the Tower and the Sun here, this person is used to revealing themselves, but not their inner selves. And it's been a shocker. And this is what's attracted them to you, because they can't actually figure out how on earth, a bit like pile number 2, you've mesmerised them into revealing their inner self. It's like a connection. The Ten of Cups there, it's like a connection that feels like home. And it's a connection that there could be a feeling here of somebody that likes to... I'm going to say this, and it won't I don't think a lot of people identify with it, but I was talking to a lady recently that was talking about PTSD, and this could very much, it might just be a small group of people or one or two, have that feeling of you opening them up to something that they probably preferred not to reveal, and they've just said it. And it's like, wow. Revealed something very personal about themselves, and from somebody who doesn't actually reveal things. And that's where the connection has started to grow. This is where the key is. But there might be anxiety with it. This is where the connection has started to grow. They may have even pulled back a bit because they thought they revealed too much. But they can't get, I'm guessing that they can't get you off their mind. Because you've touched something very soft inside them. They could have been in a position, or they could still be in a position that's very tough, very formal. Because you've got the Emperor and you've got the Justice card here, and the Justice card has a soldier with it, and we're just talking about PTSD. It could be somebody that's had a tough job, may not be in it now, and they've revealed a lot of themselves to you, I'm assuming very quickly, in what I would say a very childlike way, and it's reverted, you know, that it's made them feel at home, but also a feel of, that's not like me, I've learned how to be tough. How has this person pulled this out of me so quick? That's not in my training. It could just be mental training, it could be part of a job, you know, where you don't reveal much, where you put on a hard face. There's a lot of toing and froing in this person's thoughts with regards to you, and they don't know whether to be cool, they don't know whether to pull back, or they don't know whether to just basically gush out everything that they're feeling. Do you know what? You've been a bit of a shocker to this person. You are this person's tower moment. There's something about you that's very open, very innocent, very childlike. There's something about this very beautiful, very grounded, very much, I was going to say at earth with yourself, but at ease with yourself here. And the Judgment card here has a huge impact on this person. The Tower card here is definitely you. Very similar to pile number 2. Of a feeling like this person needs to connect with home again, and there's a feeling of healing here, to heal themselves. And you've spoken to them, or you've communicated with them in a very gentle way, in a very sort of loving way, I'm thinking, that has been a bit of a shocker, and they've revealed a lot. So to me, the most attractive trait in their eyes, you have a very feminine quality. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, where this person has been almost sucked in to telling you their life story very easily. And you have, with the Fool card here, almost an air of acceptance. You don't care what this person says to you, because you're probably just intrigued by how different people... The Fool card there, Uranus, is very accepting of others. You're just interested in how other people... what they've got to say, you know, what their life story is, because you don't judge. The Judgment card is there, but you don't actually use that as judgment. It's more a case of wanting to know why we're here, what's coming next, and how we can contribute to what comes next, whether it's like our karma next week, next lifetime. And the Empress card here is a real smoothness about you. There's a very, very similar, I'm not sure if it's pan 1 or 2 now, because that was too far away for me, but there's a very mesmeric, I'm making this word up, I think, quality about you. There's something where they have just fallen into you and revealed a lot to you, and this is your most beautiful trait in their eyes, your ability to make them feel as if they won't get hurt by you. You make them feel like home. You must have some sort of icy contact here, where you make this person reveal a lot of themselves, because you just feel like childhood friend, childhood, you know, girlfriend, boyfriend. I don't know. It's just ease, home and comfort. And they've given too much of themselves that they may actually be like, oh my God, what have I done? There's a lot of toing and froing here, and possibly trying to look like they're not interested. Okay, pile number 3. I'm going to finish there. And I know people come to these readings. I do think people come to these readings to say what physical qualities that they find attractive. But to me, I just get so lost in how people work, I forget to say it. What a great card, look at that. You don't want me actually trying to tell you that in a physical quality, do you? You'd rather me tell... Can you see it? Stay still. No. You know, that's just basically Uranus, and that's a shocking sort of wake up call to me, with the Empress card there. Yeah, I'll leave you on that one, that's a bit better. The Empress card there is somebody that's done it in a very sort of accepting way, somebody that's like sitting down and listening rather than judging. Okay, right, pile number 3, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that helps in some way. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye.